I am Margaret N. Windsor, and that's my real name. I was kidnapped in 41 at age 2, born in 39, and brought to Moulton, Alabama. Since I'm low on phone space here, I hope I get this up because now then they're showing all this about the church up in Pittsburgh, and it's a Jewish church, Faith Church, and the shootings. I'm the one that has been telling about the mind control murders for a long time, since before then, but actually going on YouTube and Facebook in 2011 and then 2012 on YouTube. So I've put 5 to 6 up a day, most of the time over the years. And I put up information which I'm not putting up at the moment. If you care, you can scan back and you'll see pictures of my father, Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Simpson. There's pictures of Wallace, American Spy, and the double that married her and became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. My father, Edward VIII, married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. Did I say that? And she was Queen of England. You had Roosevelt, the President of the United States, a Jew, that had sent Joe Kennedy, as ambassador to England in 1936. They kicked him out in 1946. JFK, his son, would fly in during the time I was born, 1939, and he helped in my kidnapping in 1941. He even went before Parliament and spoke, the British Parliament. So they brought me to a hellhole in Moulton, Alabama, where later, about 45 miles or 40 from Moulton, is where NASA Huntsville Space Flight Center began in 1956-57. And, of course, German space scientist, Werner von Braun, a most beautiful man. They've got Meghan Markle up here. Let's see what she has to say. I may have to do this over since this is so important. Well, I didn't get that. I'll turn it off or turn it down and finish what I was going to say. I've been telling about the mind control murders for a long time, and I usually show Larry Flint, Hustler Magazine publisher, where in April of '84 he did an editorial saying I knew who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia, March of '78. I was doing the book Living at Moonraker Apartments off Delk Road in Marietta, not too far away from Lawrenceville, where his insides were blown all over the sidewalk and with a magnum. So it's a wonder he survived. Stop and think about it. He's paralyzed. If that's Mr. Flynn, he's paralyzed from the neck down. Now, I had a letter from the Feds, FBI, on my dad's birthday, the 23rd of June. Of course, this is in 2000. Well, I'm got to stop and think. 1997. Wow. When did I get the letter? 79. I'm sorry. I'm always saying I'm sorry, and I didn't do anything. I was kidnapped and brought over here and tortured, and my children. Now I want to get to this that I haven't told. The Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Bilderbergers helped kidnap me, take down my father because he wouldn't follow their orders, and they installed Wallace Warfield Simpson. In 1937, she married the double imposter, claiming to be my father, and this has never been corrected. History still tells the lie. They don't tell any of the truth because your media is also controlled. That means your publishing companies, your TV stations, all of them are controlled by the Illuminati. They are the Illuminati. So my mom's been deleted. She was an American. My father was lied about. He was married to my mom, taken down because he was honest. He was replaced by the Illuminati, who's saying who's king and queen and monarch. And 37, the year George was given the monarchy. Illegal it may be, but he's there, and George the Sixth. And so Elizabeth is illegal, and Mountbatten, Philip Mountbatten, her husband, who's related to me too, and then that whole lineage is frauds, fake monarchy, should be locked up. Not just that, they're war criminals, and they represent the Illuminati, your global government that has come to be because of the United States invading the UK, positioning themselves where they could control Sweden, Denmark, the Netherlands, where the war crimes tribunal is, and that's where Henry Kissinger, that's on the Watergate tapes trying to kill me in Atlanta with Gonzalez. I want you to remember this name. I've put it up enough. He's still in practice as far as I know. His son, Victor Jr., is a doctor in Atlanta. So they've still lived pretty good. So let me go. I'm going to jump back. I was kidnapped and brought there and given the name of a twin to Moulton, Alabama. Both twins had been killed by Lina, their mother, and the family had covered it up. So in Alabama, Lina Dempsey would have faced the war tribunal. A war tribunal. No, she wouldn't. That's controlled by Henry Kissinger now. He's not going to prosecute himself like the Watergate tapes would require if you heard them. Anyway, she would have faced the gas chambers in Alabama. So this was a horrible, she was a psychopath. She'd killed them, but then what she did to me and that family did to me, it's not just the poverty. It was the sickness, the filth, the beatings, it's been psychological warfare all my life on me and my children when they were born, Mark and Scott. And I'm going to jump to what this was a Jewish boss that John had, my husband had in Atlanta, Fisher Body, Al Platt. He demanded when I was pregnant with Mark, and I was living on Prince's Circle, and he demanded John bring me over on a Sunday morning, I believe, and I didn't want to meet him. I was pregnant, and I didn't want to be rude, but then I told John if he went, I wasn't going to go. And they just tell him I shampooed my hair or something, which I had, but anyway, I think. What does it matter? I didn't want to go. Later, when I had Mark, who's heir after me, Edward VIII, my father, made arrangements. He didn't mean to leave. And the minute I was born, I'm Victoria II, the legal heir to the British crown. Mark is second, not William and Harry. Mark and then Scott. So now then, when Mark's born, I told this in confidence because I didn't mean for it to be spread all over the world, because it's something that the victim becomes, and I'm told that, like Mark's lazy eye, he had lazy eye and he wanted to be a pilot, which he was, that I don't know, I guess the same people that can use the mind control I've been writing about or telling about too, can cure that. They can cure illnesses, the Tesla files, or create them, which is what I was telling about programming, like the person that shot Larry Flint, George Wallace. You can go on down the line. So the minute, well, I got flowers. The only flowers I got was from Al Platt, and I thought, how nice. Well, it had a boxing glove, a pair of boxing gloves on it. And now I understand I couldn't remember about being born Margaret Ann Windsor and my father till later in 83 when I found out, and I looked back and the Brits were always there, the average everyday Brit in British intelligence, to try to help save me. In this land of the free and home of the brave, let me remind you, should you forget, because you sure remind me to salute the flag that did this to me. And then I'm reminded that part of my family over there, and yes, they did. Part of them did. Winston Churchill, he's not my family, but he partnered with Roosevelt and the Kennedys and the Illuminati and Eisenhower, who was a general and became president, and so on and so on. So all your Secretary of States, all of them have always known this. So now let me get to this, and I'm going to need another one to YouTube to put up. I want to focus on this was a Jewish, and look at all the outpouring that the media and have given this, and calling it hate crimes and all this. The Jews, like it or not, Roosevelt and all those names are Jewish, except the Kennedy clan and the Windsors. Okay, when my two sons were born, they were born close together. And look and see if I still have time on there. And John, I'm skipping all the in between. I'm just going to tell this. I would never get it up. We moved out of Atlanta. They were born in Atlanta. And we moved back to Huntsville. And John went to work back at the space program, the space center there. Well, I felt depressed. And I went to a doctor, and there was only one at that time. That was Himon Miller, and he was Jewish. Later, Good, what was his name? Good came in, and I was told by Jack, he's no longer alive. He was FBI and a reporter, and he said something about they were part of a group out of Utah or something. I'm not sure I got the state right, but and you can go from there. But anyway, later Von Braun was murdered. They never told that, but it was used on him, and they killed him. Okay, Himon Miller is the only psychiatrist in Huntsville back then. This is about 1962, I guess. I go to him, and when I'm going to go ahead and tell it, Peggy Ferguson, Lauderdale Ferguson, was a lady I met. Her husband was Bob Lauderdale. It worked with my husband at in Huntsville. She came to me later and asked me if Himon Miller had ever done these things to me. And what she told me was the same thing. He hypnotizes you, puts his arm around you, and you're told to look at a vent. And the thing that I could remember was the timeline. I looked at the vent, and when it was over and I was awake, you're supposed to have an hour or 45 minutes. Well, that wasn't it. It was 30 minutes, and I was gone. I got back, and the same thing happened to her, Peggy Lauderdale, Ferguson Lauderdale. Her panties were wet, she told me, and you know what I mean. So now then, and Dr. Miller put me on Valium. So it went on over time. Things got worse. Himon Miller started prescribing things like Thorazine. I can't remember all of it. Halidol. No, he didn't prescribe Halidol. What was the other one? I forgot. Milleril. They were real potent. And I'm going to skip to this. It ended up he had me under shock therapy. Really, later on, I'm going to get to this real quick. When I lived at Edinburgh, notice the name, it's a HUD here in Roanoke. One of the girls that lived there, women, said her ex-husband, was psychiatrist in Seattle, Jewish. Her name was Rogers Simon, last name. So they were supposed to be divorced, but she's there. She said to me, and she's talking about the chemicals that were dumped on me where I lived there at Edinburgh, associated with the Queen of England, okay, residence. Oh, what a joke, sick joke. She said, you're paying for what your family did, like the Holocaust and the gassing and all that. So this was why all this was being done to me. So I'm going to go back to Himon Miller. How many times was I shocked and shocked? Went in on a weekly basis. My husband would take me, and I'd come out, and they give you shots that numb you, and you're when you come out from under it, you don't know what's going on. I remember my husband holding my hand when they were putting me under, and he had Berg as anesthesiologist, who's a Jew. Her husband was a Jew. I hope you don't mind me saying Jew. I'm English, okay? And they did it to me and my sons. And it's not right. Don't ever tell me it's right, although you have. And I hope I'm not making noise out here and get kicked out. Now, trying to make sure I have time. Over a period of time, the shock. My husband held my hands at one point when they were putting me under, going to put me under. And this is in his office that this is being done. And Berg is the Jewish female doctor, anesthesiologist. And lots of times she couldn't find veins, and she just punch me. Said she couldn't find veins. And I remember my husband holding my hand and saying to me just before they came in to shock me, you're going to tell them, Pumpkin, he called me. I think that's what he called me then. You're going to tell them the sky is falling. And you're going to beg people to help you, and they won't. Chicken licking. That's what he would call me. So this went on and went on, and I worked when I could. I went to work for Pizzets. It was a department store, and I didn't know I was allergic to chemicals. So this was all a lie about giving me illegal. That's not medication. It was torture by a Jew doctor. Himon Miller, his wife, was a German Jew. And I remember them flaunting it in all their wealth in their home in Jones Valley, all over the Huntsville Times, about her bringing all her paintings from Germany. And here they're telling all this, and I'm the niece of Georgia O'Keeffe, one of the greatest artists to ever walk the face of the planet. So over all this time, I gained weight, lost it. What did the children think of me? They thought their mother was a nutcase. Misdiagnosed. I remember the first time that I went to Brown Engineering, so that's my husband worked there. And I can remember he handed me the diagnosis from the insurance company. And we were at Brown Engineering. It became IBM later in Huntsville. And I was shocked at the diagnosis and just horrified. And John pointed at, he says, that's, I guess he said Noe, because I later found out in Grottoes, Virginia, he was really an FBI agent. He was there then, standing back of the car and looking at me and waved. And I don't know if he came up and spoke with John or not. But I'm going to fast forward to 84, 85 in Grottoes with a car furnished by Hustler when I was in the campaign in 83. No money given to me, but I had the new car. Couldn't afford the gas. It was sitting there in Grottoes, Virginia. And I was pumping gas, worked in the little store there, and windshields, cleaning windshields, and I cooked a meal a day for them, which they, Philip and his daughters were nice enough to me. They were, and I was glad to get the job. But Noah came in. He was supposed to be retired, and at first I didn't remember him. He'd come in, and I'd pump gas for him. His wife never got out of the car. He told me that she had worked for J. Edgar Hoover in personnel down